Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar session on supply chain management. I am Rohit Model, and I am alumni of Dr. J.J. Magdum College of Engineering, Jaisingpur, and I am currently working in Bristol India Private Limited in Pune, and I am working in logistics and supply chain management department. So I will like to start first with the definition of supply chain management. What is the definition of supply chain management? Well, this is the definition, and we can see that here is the one word which has been highlighted, which is flow. Because in supply chain management, this is mostly regarding the flow, and this is not only the flow of material, but this consists of three types of flows which are very essential. The 3 points are: the first is the information, then the physical distribution, which is the flow of material, of course, and the last one is the cash flow. So here is a simple picture to explain the definition of supply chain management. Here we can see we have here this raw material supplies, then the production is here, which actually manufactures or do the value addition processes, and then converts the raw materials into some product or service. And this product or service is distributed to the customer via a distribution center. This distribution center provides the material to, say, a retailer, and from the retailer we a customer can buy the products and various, and the supply chain management consists of both products and services. It's not only about the products, but it is about the products and services. And yeah, as I said earlier, it contains three flows. First is the information flow, then second is the physical distribution, and then the cash. The information may consist of the inquiries made by the customer, or the planning of production, or the distribution network. The information flow is in and out throughout the system. It's always going. Then next is the physical distribution. The physical distribution starts from the supplies of the raw material. Then within the production system there are also various material flows, flow of work in progress material. Then in the distribution, uh, products and services are carried through the transportation to the various distribution networks to the retailers, and then the customer itself buys products from the stores and go to the home with the products. So there is a flow of physical, there is a flow of material, that is a physical distribution is happening within this supply chain. And lastly, there is the flow of cash as well. The cash is cash in contrast with the physical distribution. Mostly the cash flow is in the reverse direction. So the raw materials are supplied from supplier to the producer, and the cash is means the money is given from the producer to the raw material suppliers. Also in this case, the retailer provides the product to the customer, and customer provides the cash based on the invoice to the retailer. I would like to give a simple example of the supply chain here. Here we can see this is the supplier, this is the producer, and this is the customer. And we can see that the primary product flow is from the raw materials supplies from the supplier to the producer, and the primary product flow. Here the raw materials are converted into product. So here is this flow is called the primary product flow. The products are given transferred from producer to the customer, and the primary cash flow is from the customer to the producer, and producer from producer to the supplier. And in some cases there is also a reverse flow. When we talk about the supply chain, the chain word may some people may misunderstood the word chain, because in the chain there that word implies the linearity, but this is not the case in the supply chain, because a supply chain is actually a network. So we can use the word network in case of chain, because the flow is not only happening in the one direction, but the material flow also can be happen also can take place from the customer to the producer. Because say if the product is damaged, or there are some quality issues, so customer do not want such products, so customer can return the product to the supplier as a producer. So there is also a reverse flow. And if say there are some quality issues in the raw material as well, so the producer can also reverse the material flow from the producer to the supplier. So when we talk about the supply chain, we have to think about a network, and not only a linear flow. So through the supply chain, from the producer to the supplier, like the requirements of the raw materials from the supplier to producer, there can be information flow, like when they can provide the material, the delivery schedules, and such things. So customer can inquire to the producer regarding the materials, and the producer also can advertise their products, so there to the customers, so that the customer can have the information about the products. And similarly, there is a cash flow which is mainly in the reverse direction. That is why it's called a primary cash flow. If the supplies and service, the products and services are returned, then this cash flow may take place in the reverse direction from the supply from uh, to view the basic operations and the various players in the supply chain management. There is a model called the SCORE model, which means the supply chain operation reference model. In this model, what are the various operations and various operations that takes place in the supply chain. In this model, those operations are explained. So here we can see a supply chain model always consists of, there are various models, but if we talk about the standard model, we have 5 different operations that take place in any global supply chain management. So those 5 are: the first one is the plan, which is planning of the supply chain. Then after the planning, we talk about source operation. Source operation means the procurement, that is the procurement of say components, raw materials, and various services as well. So this is sourcing operation. And after the sourcing, we have a make operation. I have not written here production, as it is not always the manufacturing of the product that can be called as a production, because there may be some industries which do not manufacture anything, but they do some value addition processes like assembling. And they take the components, then assemble, and then forward to the main supplier, main producer. So whenever there is a value addition process takes, that we call as make. Hence this is the make process. And after the products and services are produced, then we have a deliver process. The deliver process is process by which the goods produced in the factory and plants, which are stored in the warehouses, those products are delivered to the customers who wants these products and services, who actually uses them. So there must be a connection between the producer and the customer, and that connection, that connecting point is deliver. And after deliver, there may be some issues in material, say damaged material, quality issues. Then also sometimes we have surplus inventory at the customer side, so they want to return the product. Or we will talk about this in detail in the next slides. As I said earlier, there is a return process also, which takes place in the supply chain. So when we talk about the standard operations that are carried out in the supply chain, so these are the 5 standard operations you can find in any supply chain. These are plan, source, make, deliver, and return. So now we will talk about each and every process in detail. So the first process that consists in the supply management is the planned process, and this process is very crucial as whenever whenever any company is trying to introduce whenever any company is in its initial phases, they do the customer market survey and the various resources that they have, and based upon that what type of product they have, they first plan the uh, they plan the they do this planning process. The planning process is mainly between the balancing the resources with the requirements which are they going to get in the future from the customers, and also they has to think about the requirements from the within organization as well. So the planning process does this and plan the resources and plan the resources based upon the requirements. So this is the main thing in the planning process. And in the planning process, the uh, what we do is we plan the supply chain. So based upon our product and the market, what is going to be the market demand, and what are the resources like transportation facilities or the geographical area. Depending upon that, we plan the supply chain. While planning supply chain means they think about where they can open the warehouses and distribution centers. Where should be the factory location. Such crucial decisions are made in the planning process. So this is a very important process. And after planning of these resources, then they also has to plan about the source process. So where they are going to take the purchase the raw materials, some components and various other requirements. uh, so they has to think about the supplier network they are going to build. So the source process has to be planned within this plan process. And after they plan the source process, they take the decisions about the make process. So in the make process, they take the decisions like should they manufacture the product, or should they buy or um, do some value addition themselves, and some unnecessary steps or the steps which are going to be difficult for them, they should outsource. So should they make or outsource, the which things they are going to outsource, such decisions are made in this planning process. After the make process, they plan about the delivery network, how they are going to establish a network of dealers, stores, various distribution centers, the transporters. These things are planned in this process. And also they has to think about the, of course, return process. So what all the things that are going to happen in the future, they has to think before they has to think in advance. Because if the planning if there are faults in the planning, so they could impact the organization very badly in the coming years. So these decisions are very crucial and need strategic solutions. So this is a very important process. And after so the common goal is the plan process is about align all the resources that we have to the common goals of the company. After the plan process, we have source process. Sourcing means the procurement. uh, a company cannot uh, any company cannot be self-sustainable. So they has to procure many things like raw materials, components, then IT services, then electricity, utility services. They has to procure these things from outside, and then only they can run the plant and all those things. So in the source process, there are many subtypes, but here I want to talk about only two major things which are very important. that is the sourcing of the raw materials and the sourcing of the general goods. So first we will talk about the raw material procurement. Here the thing we have to take in mind that the 50 to 60% 50 to 60% of the cost of the goods sold, that means the revenue of the company, the cost of the product sold is comes from the raw materials. So raw material procurement is a very crucial part. If we can procure the high quality goods with minimum cost, then finally our net profits are going to increase. So raw material procurement is a very important stage, which will drive the cost of the final product in the long run. So while sourcing the raw materials, first there has to be some plan. The plan regarding how much we are going to sell. That is there's a forecast department that forecast the sales that are going to happen in upcoming months, and based upon that there's a planning department in any organization that plans what are the uh, quantities and which materials in which quantities we are going to need in upcoming months. That is called an indent. This indent is supplied to the purchase department via production planning and control department, and based upon this indent only the procurement department uh, procure the material. And once we get the indent, that is the now we know that which materials are we are going to need what quantities in upcoming months. So the next important process in the procurement department is the supplier selection and the negotiation. So as I talked earlier, the 50 to 60% cost of the goods sold is comes from the raw materials price. So a small difference between the price of two suppliers can lead to very large cost savings, because in a company we has to procure the materials in very large quantities. Hence the cost is a very important factor. And also the supplier selection, in the supplier selection we have to think about not only the cost, we have to also has to think about the quality also, because the raw materials quality or components quality is finally going to affect our product. So there has to be a trade-off between the price and quality. And and after this based upon this we can select a suitable supplier. And the supply once the supplier is selected, we do the negotiations. And finally purchase order is generated. This purchase order is followed to the is given to the supplier. The thing we have to know here that it is not like we in this upcoming week we are going to need some A items, 100 quantity of A items. Then we do not only order for the 1 month only. When we give the purchase order, we think about the future as well, and we give purchase orders in large quantities, like 2-3 months stock at the same time. Because once the purchase order is generated with a negotiated and agreed price, this product the supplier is going to supply this material at this same price for the next upcoming 2-3 months. But uh, but they so this way by making large orders we can get the price benefit. And also there is a thing called delivery schedule. It is not like we give them the purchase order of 100 metric ton and they are going to deliver 100 metric ton in single shipment. No, this does not happen in the industry. uh, Based upon the delivery purchase order and our procurement a plan of our production, we take the we take the delivery in various shipments in various parts. So so by doing this we can get the cost benefit also of low price cost benefit. And also we do not end up buying large quantities of product at the same time by using this delivery schedule management. and after the deliveries are made, the important function of the procurement department is to monitor the inventory levels of the different materials. What are the consumption levels, and based upon that consumption level, we think about the inventory levels, and we has to maintain these inventory levels. Also, after monitoring the inventory level, the purchase also does this function of supply performance rating. At the end of each year, the purchase department rate the each supplier for different products. We have different suppliers, so we rate these suppliers based upon their delivery schedule, their capacity to handle the flexibility in our demands, then the quality of the product that they have served us with, then if there are any complaints regarding this supplier from production department regarding the quality issues, and uh, uh, based upon these all things, the supplier rating is done by the purchase department. So this is about the raw material procurement, and the next process that a source department does is the general stores procurement. Along with the raw materials, in any company, we will require various small products like stationery, then the machinery, uh, then we will need chairs, then office furniture, and various other things that we will require for Kaizen work. Some we need some things, some say drilling machine, and various other things which do not comes under this raw material, comes under the general stores procurement department. In the general stores, here the process is somewhat different. In the raw material, the planning department gives the indent based upon which raw materials are supplied. But in the general stores, there are various users which are going to finally use this material. Those users create a purchase requisition. Then they take the approval from their top management, and then this form is submitted to the purchase department. And based upon this purchase, approved purchase requisition, the general stores items are purchased. When the purchase requisition is finalized, then uh, we take the quotations from different suppliers, and then we do the negotiation, and based upon the various factors, we select the best supplier, best suitable supplier, and then we give the generate the purchase order, and based upon the requirement of the user, we arrange the delivery schedule, and the products are uh, uh, supplied to the user um, user. And also, when these products are supplied, we will also need to do the servicing, and spare parts of this spare parts also will be required. So along with the product, we also the service and spare part procurement, it comes under the general stores. So in the source department, there are uh, two main important processes: the raw material procurement and general stores procurement. So once the products are uh, once the purchase order is given to the supplier manufactures the product, and based upon the agreed delivery schedule, the goods are sent to the our plant location. And in this plant, when these goods arrive in plant, uh, these goods will be unloaded and stored in the raw material warehouse and general stores. For the raw materials, they are stored in the raw material warehouse, and for general store item, there is a central store in each company where the general stores items are stored. So first function of the raw material warehouse is to receive the material, the unloading. Then after unloading, these goods needs to be transported and stored inside the warehouse. once the goods are received, along with these shipments, we generally receive a test certificate, that is certificate of analysis, and then the invoice. So based upon this invoice, the invoice quantity and the physically received quantity is matched. Then the purchase or the rate in the purchase order and the rate in the invoice is matched, and based upon this, a goods receipt note is generated, which is in short called GRN. So based upon this, the payment is given to the supplier. So these goods receipts are generated in the raw material warehouse. Once the goods receipt notes are generated and the materials are unloaded and they are shifted into the warehouse, there need to be some kind of identification system in raw materials. Because if the raw materials are sent to the production, then the final product is going to be of wrong quality. Hence, the identification of the raw materials is a very important process. So in this identification process, we do the tagging, sort of barcode tagging process is generally used, in which what is the code of the raw material, then the batches are generated, what is the manufacturing date, and based upon the shelf life of each raw material, there comes a expiry date, that is shelf life of the raw material, within which this raw material needs to be used by the production department. Otherwise, this raw material is going to expire. So these identifications are very essential when we work in a raw material warehouse. After the identification of the raw materials, the raw materials need to be approved by the quality assurance department of the organization. Once these raw materials are unloaded, what called the GRN's certificate of analysis is supplied to the material testing quality assurance department. Based upon they take the samples from the raw materials and check the quality, if it is as per our company's standard, and if the parameters of these raw materials are as per the uh, quality standards, then these raw materials are approved by the mm, then these raw materials are approved by the quality assurance department, and this information is stored inside those barcode system. The barcode which are labeled on these raw materials, in that barcode servers, this information is also stored that this batch or this lot of the raw material has been checked by the quality assurance department and it is found okay. So when in the production these raw materials are going to be used, the production system scans those barcodes, and if these raw materials are uh, approved by the quality system, then only it will allow the production technician to use this raw material in any further process. So this is about the identification and quality approval of the raw materials. And next thing which is very important in the raw material warehouse is ensuring the FIFO. The FIFO stands for first in first out. That is, the material which are received first must be supplied to the production in the first. Like say if there is one code of raw material, and for this raw material code we have received 5 lots on 5 different dates, and manufacturing date of these 5 lots is different. So the material which was received first is going to expire first. So we have to issue this material first to the production. This information should no raw material is going to expire, or it very much takes care of this process. And after the FIFO measures, um, once the material is approved by the quality department, uh, Once the material is approved by the quality department, this material is going to issue to the production department as per the production plan. The production planning department gives the plan for daily plan, which which quantity. This plan is given to the raw material warehouse department, and based upon that plan, the raw materials are supplied to the production. Also, if any issues comes within the raw materials, like when any abnormality comes or the stocks get expire, so these issues can be handled by the raw material warehouse. In every company there is a standard process to how to handle the expired products, and so based upon that process, the expiry and abnormality issues which comes in the raw materials are can be handled, and this is the these all are the responsibilities of the raw material warehouse. And after the raw material warehouse, the goods are issued to the production department, or as I earlier said, the make process, where the value addition takes place in the raw materials and the final products or services are generated. So in this make process, uh, these make process mainly consist of the three categories, which are make to stock, order to make to order, and make to engineer. Uh, what is this? First is the make to stock, means goods are produced and stored in the finished goods stock, and whenever any customer requests the material, the materials are supplied from these finished good stocks. Then there comes the make to order. In the make to order, whenever um, supplier does not the manufacturer does not produce any goods until and unless an or a purchase order is received from the customer. When the purchase order is received, then the goods are made, goods are prepared, and then they are sent to the customer. And the last one is the engineer to order. When we think about the industrial customer, say there is a industrial customer who wants a specifically designed drilling machine. So in this case, based upon the requirements given by the customer, we need to first engineer the product, and after the engineering, then we have to produce the product, and then we need to supply. So these are the three different make processes. First one was prepare the products and say store into stock, and then when customer order is received, then supply it to the customer. The next one was whenever a customer request is received, and based upon that the normal goods are generated and supplied. And whenever there is a requirement of some special product which needs to be designed first, some engineering work on that, then the such orders handled by this engineer to order process. So based upon these three criteria, there is going to be a lead time, three various lead times. The lead time is what is the lead time? Lead time is when the time difference between the receival of the purchase order and the time at which the delivery is made to the customer. This time gap between the purchase order generation and delivery, this is called the lead time. So the lead time is going to be very small for the stock products, because there is going to be only time for the administration work and then the final transportation. But when we talk about the make to order process, there is also going to be a production lead time. So lead time must be required for the products to be generated within the production system. So this time will get added along with the administration time and the transportation time in the make to order process. And in the third phase, the engineer to order product, there is going to be some time for the research and design of the product. And after that only we can add into it the production time, then the transportation, and finally some administration work. So these so for these three types of orders we are going to have three different lead times. So we have to think in advance to procure the goods. In the supply chain management, the information is supplied to the production department by the supply chain management regarding the information on how much is needed to be produced, and where this material is needed to be produced, and the also the supply. As we talk about supply, the function of the supply chain management is to the production should have an access of the raw materials whenever required. So which material, the components which are required by the production need to be delivered to the production at the right time in the right quantity. So this the supply chain takes controls this function. And also the also the role of the supply chain management in production is we have three types of resources like man, machine, and material. The efficient use of these three resources in the production process is controlled by the supply chain management. After the goods are produced in the production, they are generally stored in a what is called a finished good warehouse. The goods are generated and then stored in the finished good warehouse. The various processes carried out in the finished good warehouse are same like the once the goods are generated, they are approved by the quality assurance department. They check all the aspects of the product, and once the product is found to be okay in the final test, then it is released to the finished good warehouse. Once the goods are released, they are received in the raw material in the finished good warehouse. They are sold in the warehouse until the further requirement from the customer is received. Then here also we need a identification system. So the identification is required because if there is no identification system, then we may deliver the wrong product to the customers, and which is going to hamper our rating. So to ensure the right products are supplied to the right customer at the right time, the identification system is very important, as like the raw materials. And here also we need to follow the FIFO measures. The products which are manufactured first need to be supplied to the customer first, otherwise they are going to expire within the company, and if such case occurs, there is going to be a revenue loss. So FIFO measures are very much important in the finished good. When we talk about the finished good warehouse, there are mainly three processes which are carried out, which is picking, then packing, and then loading. Whenever a customer order is received, based upon the customer order, the various items are picked up, then they are packed into the unit loads, and these pallets, and these pallets are then loaded into the different vehicles, and then are supplied to the customer. So these are the various processes that happen in a finished good warehouse. So here it comes to a very important process, which is a delivery process. A delivery process consists of its own delivery network, and based upon within that delivery network, there is a flow of materials and cash flow and information flow is happening within this delivery process, so that the goods produced in the manufacturing plant can be supplied to the customer. And this delivery process closely relate with our market strategy. There are going to be various market strategies, like for some, say we need to sell the fruits, then the fruits mostly the fruits are bought by the customer inside a supermarket. So we need to deliver our fruits to a supermarket, and say if our product is going to be a mobile phone, So 1 in 3 customer now purchase the phones through online purchases. So we must have a process by that if a customer purchase request is received via online process, then we must be able to deliver that product to the customer directly to the address as provided by the customer. So the delivery process is going to be different in each market strategy. So the factors on which this delivery process is closely related is the, as I talked earlier, the type of product. The which type of product you have, based upon that you are going to have a different market strategy, and depending upon the different market strategy, your delivery process changes. Also the cost and sales data is here also important. If the cost of the product is very high, then it will be very risky to have a high inventory very near to the customer. So such high products need to be supplied from directly from the say distribution center to the customer. It is very cost efficient if we supply directly from the warehouse to the customer. And if the product cost is going to be very low, means average cost and very high sales volume is there, then we need to have the product as close to the customer as possible. So the low cost products which have very high sales average, so those products can be stored inside a store from where a customer can buy as per his need. So the cost and sales data is going to affect our market strategy, and finally the delivery process. And the geographical area is also important in the delivery process. So based upon the geographical area, we will have different resources like road transportation, if transportation can be done by ship, and various resources can be available based upon the locality of the area. So this area of the service is going to affect our delivery process. So in the delivery process, whenever a customer inquiry happens, that kind of inquiry is being processed, and then after the inquiry, a purchase order made by the customer, that purchase order is processed. Then we select a best suitable transporter which has good delivery performance and also cost benefits. Based upon the various factors, the good transporter is selected, and once those goods are supplied to the customer, then the customer is invoiced. Invoice is generated, and based upon that invoice, the customer pays the cost of the product, and that cost is uh, uh, that cost comes to a company based upon the invoice. So also the various very important function of the delivery process is managing the information, like what are our sales stocks, what is going to be our sales forecast, and based upon that how we are going to is managed by the delivery process. Then the inventory of the finished is handled by the delivery process. Then the capital assets, and the capital assets means the various dealerships, various stores, various distribution centers that we have, like warehouses. Those are considered as the capital costs, our capital assets. Those capital assets are handled by the delivery process. And the import export requirements, like what are our export requirement, based upon that we export, not only sell our product in the local market, but also sell our product in we export the material. And also there are very good customers for which we they of which we need to supply their needs. And let's say if we what the customer needs we do not produce, so our we also has to import our products from our say our plant in another country. So from where this product is made, so we has to import these products from that plant, and then we need to supply this product to the customer via our delivery service. So these requirements are handled by the delivery process itself. So delivery process is a very complicated and very important function, and uh, it must not be misunderstood that our commitment ends when we deliver the product to the customer. The Our commitment only ends when the product is delivered to the customer um, at the scheduled time. The product, say if it is a machinery and something like that, the product must be installed, and the installed product should function properly, and that is the finally when the customer is fully satisfied, our commitment for delivery process ends there. I want to give us a structure of a simple distribution system. So a distribution network, you can have good you can get a good idea of what a distribution system looks like. So here we have a producer which produces the goods and services. From this producer, the services are supplied to the distributor, um, and here from these distributors, the goods are supplied to the retail stores, and from these retail stores, a customer can buy the products. For a customer to have a product readily in inventory in a store, this long process takes place, which is often not seen by the customer. So this is a simple distribution system, but not to grow from this flow, we have another flow also, from where a customer can buy the products, and which is right here, right? Like from a distributor directly, a supplier can buy the products, which is called a direct shipping. Based upon the various products and the market strategy, various distribution network systems can be used. So these are the two examples which I have shown here, from a producer to distributor to retailer to the customer, or a customer can directly buy from the distributor. Finally, the last process that happens supply chain is the return process. So why this return process? The return process may happen due to the quality issues in the material, in the delivered products. Also, there can be a possibility of damage during the shipping or transportation. Also, also when some products are supplied to the customer, there we need to have the scheduled maintenance of these products. For the scheduled maintenance, also the products can be returned. Products can flow in the reverse direction. uh, Also, in the industrial customer, if an industrial customer has very much surplus inventory, which is not going to be used for production within its expiry, so sometimes a return flow may happen from the manufacturer to the supplier due to issue in the surplus inventory. And the last thing which causes for the return flow is the packaging of MHE. MHE means material handling equipment. So in this picture, we can see that these are the boxes inside which the goods are stored, and once these goods are used, these boxes are folded into these small units, and these boxes are owned by the supplier. So once we use the material, we need to supply these empty boxes back to uh, the supplier. So in these all cases, the return flow there's a return flow exists in the supply chain management. um, and this return flow happens in both situations, like from the manufacturer to supplier, or there can be a return flow from customer to the manufacturer as well. So here I want to state the importance of the supply chain management, why we need to study and have a very healthy supply chain inside a company. Because a long-term goal of any company is to produce higher net profits. So this is going to be a long-term goal for any company. So of course there is going to be a goal to satisfy the customer, but in the at the end of the day, there is going to be a goal to increase net profits. And after some time, for any product, markets becomes stagnant. That is, uh, there are no any more growth opportunities in the market. So when such a stagnant condition occurs, the way to generate net profits is via increasing the efficiency of our processes. When we increase our efficiency, we can produce the net profits. And when we think about a broader perspective of a supply chain, then we can find out what are the points where we can work on. Those weak areas can be worked on, and then we will have a better efficiency in each process. So when we check our supply chain network, from there we can have a we can find the opportunities for effectiveness. So as we have discussed, the supply chain has an impact on the tied up inventory. That is the inventory of the components and raw materials which we procure. Also, the tied up inventory is also in the finished goods which we store in the finished good warehouse. So, if this tied up inventory, that is our tied up cost, we minimize this cost, then we can get the better cash flow in the company, and finally the more profits can be generated. So if we study the supply chain management closely, we can have an impact on the reduced tied up inventory. Then also in the distribution network, and in the we have various facilities like warehouses, distribution networks, then plants, then various stores. And if we design our supply chain in strategic way, then we can reduce the number of warehouses or number of distribution centers, and still achieve our sales goals. So if we design supply chain in better way, then we can release the capital which has been tied up in the warehouses, stores and plants, and many more things like that. So such fixed assets can be minimized by the supply chain. Then any unnecessary cost which is happening in our supply chain can be reduced by the close monitoring of the supply chain. And finally, if we have a better supply chain, then we can uh, then we can better serve our customer, and a well served customer is always satisfied, and such customers are going to increase our net turnover in the long term. So mm, uh, so the supply chain also affects our customer service also. So here is the formula for net profit of any company. So which consists of the terms: the turnover, which is finally the cost of the goods sold annually, then the various costs which are involved within the company, then this is the tied up inventory in the raw materials and finished good warehouse, and the fixed assets, as we have discussed, like warehouses and DCs. See, if we can minimize the cost as stated in the point 3. If we can minimize the cost, then the final um, then the final profit of the company is going to be increased. This term is called return on capital employed. So how much money is involved within the company, and from that money how much returns we are generating. So if we minimize the cost, then this numerator is going to increase, and which finally going to increase our returns. Then if we serve our customer positively, then the turnover is going to increase, which also going to increase this numerator. So we can have final effect, final positive effect on the returns on capital employed. Also we can if we reduce the tied up inventory and reduce our fixed assets, this denominator is going to reduce, and finally the positive effect we are going to see on the returns on capital employed. So on all the four factors on which a net profits of any company depends are closely related to the supply chain. So effective supply chain is going to increase our net profits, market share, and as a company we are going to succeed in market if we have the carefully designed and uh, effectively uh, effectively effective our supply chain management. As effective our supply chain management is going to be, as the profits are going to be increased. And here comes here I want to show a life cycle of any product in a company. So there are four phases in which a product uh, in which a product any product goes through. First is the introduction phase, yeah, where a new product is being introduced in the market. Here we can see the sales volume is very low in this case, and after the introduction phase, if say the product succeeds in this introduction phase, then we can see a growth phase in which the sales volume are going to be very increased in such in this phase. Like a like when a new home kitchen appliance is first introduced, then if this product succeeds in this introduction phase, the next process is the growth phase, in which the sales volume increases, and after a certain time the demand is going to be constant. And in this phase we call it the saturation phase or maturity phase, in which our sales volume is going to be same. So when at this phase, if we need to succeed in the market, we need to optimize our efficiencies. And the last one is the decline phase. So when we are in this third phase, the maturity or saturation phase, the cost of generating the item cost of generating the products and services is a very driving factor. So in this phase there are various competitive same products of the competitors are also in the market. If we are cost efficient, then we are going to retain our market share. So so this cost factor is finally analyzed by the supply chain area called supply chain analytics, where any cost reduction measures that a company is going to take, those decisions are first analyzed via um, supply chain analytics, and based upon those the decisions are made to how we are going to reduce the cost and have our market share intact. Here we can have a strategy to reduce the cost is supply directly through the distribution center by avoiding the stores. So this is the thing which we have discussed already. In this first thing, in the first phase, we are distributing the products from the producer to the distributor, from the retailer to the customer, and this was through the stores. And if we can directly ship the product from the producer to the customer, then we can then we can uh, then we can free up our tied up inventory in all these stores. So these decisions are done by the made by the supply chain analytics. So, and we also can have a second choice, like the changing of the distribution routes. Here I would like to give an example of Nestle PepsiCo collaboration in Benelux countries. Here you can see, first they were delivering the products, and the network was used to look like this, and then they had uh, continuously they had synchronized all the deliveries, and the final picture was like this. So we can see the improvement from this distribution network to the this distribution network. So clearly there are going to be various cost savings in this type of decisions which we take in the supply chain. So the supply chain management is very important for any company, as it is going to affect our the net profits. Thank you everyone. Now you can go to this link, and you can give the feedback, your valuable feedback, and after you give the feedback, you can get the certificate, uh, for you can get the certificate. Thank you.
Rohit, I would like to inform all the attendees that if anyone has any question, they can ask in the chat box. If you have any question, then you can ask Mr. Rohit. Rohit, am I audible? Rohit?
Yes, Sunil.
Yes, Rohit, we are getting one question from Mr. Chaitanya, and he's asking that how we can reduce bottleneck problem in processes. How can we reduce bottleneck problem in processes? Means where the demand is high but the supply is less.
Uh, that is a very good question. See, in a product structure, we have what we call in supply chain management a depth and the width. What you are talking about is this problem of reducing the depth of the product. Like we have very if there are going to be a bottleneck problems in a supply in a production, say, so we can design some inventory areas or buffer areas on those production system, where if any uh, uh, higher supply is there and a lower production consumption is going to be, so those products can be stored in these buffer areas for some time, so we can have a smooth flow of production. And in also there is also I would like to give another example, like we are producing a bicycle, say our product is a bicycle. In the bicycle there are going to be various subsystems, like the frame, then the saddle area, then the front set, and say, as I say, we cannot there is going to be a bottleneck situation, uh, say in the front set, where we have handle grip, shock absorbers, and the wheels and the brakes. So our manufacturing company is not able to handle this situation. So in this case, we can outsource some of the subsystems. We can outsource some functions from the our suppliers, uh, and by that we can smooth our production. uh, does this answer your question, Chaitanya?
I hope so that it has satisfied his question. And we are getting another question, and he is asking that how can we optimize the cost of procurement of sources?
uh, as I said, there is going to be a 50 to 60 or even more cost of raw materials, which is going to be part of the final cost of the goods sold. So in this, to reduce the cost of the raw materials, we can have two approaches. The first approach is to have the multiple suppliers for the same product. If we have multiple suppliers, then these suppliers are going to compete for the order, for our order. So by that we get a competitive advantage over the cost. By this we can have the our goods with a low cost by the competition. And also we can have some one another strategy which is very much used in the very big industries, that we take only a single supplier, but we generate some partnership with these suppliers, and based upon these the terms in the partnership, we can get the products at a lower cost than the others. So this partnership thing is very important in any business. So if we to get the low prices, we can have the have the various suppliers to compete for the price, or we can have a single supplier with which we develop partnerships, and based upon that we get the cost benefits. And also I
Okay.
have mentioned in my presentation that we generate purchase orders with very large quantities, for the quantities for 2 to 3 months supplies. And based upon the same rate, even in the upcoming 2 to 3 months, the price is going to increase of that product, but you have a agreement in the purchase order of the large quantity, so that on that same agreed price in the when the purchase order is generated, on that same rate the supplier is enforced to suppliers with the materials. So by these three ways we can purchase the various supplies in the low cost.
So next question is from Mr. Vivek, and he is asking that what are the chances, what can be the reasons where supply chain management can fail in a company?
Yeah, very nice question. Say I have the in the score model, I have talked about the planning process. If say a planning process is not done very efficiently, or the data which is used for the planning process, if data is not as per the standard, or the in the upcoming future, those that data cannot validate the decisions done in the planning process, then in those cases a supply chain may fail. Also I would like to give an example of sourcing process. Say we used to have one supplier, a big supplier, which supplies our product, and let's say due to some natural calamities, or the any or say there happens to be a cyclone in that region, so the supplying plant cannot supply our demand. So if we have only one single supplier for that raw material, then that supplier is not going to be able to fulfill our requirement. And due to as we are not supplied with the right raw materials in the right quantity at right time, it can hamper our production and the finally our supply chain.
Okay, that was very specific, Rohit. So before we take on the next questions, I would like to share one small information that on 24th of this month, we have kept a webinar on IPR, that is intellectual property rights. So again, which is going to be really informative for everyone, especially if you're passing out being an engineer, or if you're from technical field, it will really help you out. And the topics that will be covered in the IPR are basics of patent, copyrights, and trademarks. So that will be on 24th, that is after 2 days, and we'll be releasing the flyer of the IPR really soon. So I hope that everyone will attend this webinar on 24th as well of the IPR. So yes, Rohit Ravindra Kumar Yadav, sir, who is know him very well, and who is now the president of Ishri Kolhapur Sangli subchapter, and he's telling good evening to all. Thanks a lot, Rohit, for your valuable time and sharing detailed insights of supply chain management.
Thank you very much.
I think we are done with all the questions. So if you have any furthermore questions, uh, so they can contact Rohit. So Rohit, is there any way where the attendees can contact you if they have any doubt? Can you share your email ID with them?
Uh, uh, yes. 1 minute.
Rohit, am I audible to you?
Yes. If you have any further queries, you can mail me on my personal mail, muderohitk95@gmail.com, and I would try my best to answer to all your queries. And also, I would
Okay.
like to
So
thanks to our college and Anirban for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with the this such a inspiring audience. Thank you very much.
thank you so much, Rohit. It's a pleasure having you on Ishri Speaks 2020, and I hope that you will reach the steps of success in the future. And thank you for joining with Ishri Speaks. And also, I request all the attendees to please be safe and in this pandemic. So, I think any attendees want to. So, I think we're done with all the questions. So, if you have any further doubt, you can contact Mr. Rohit Mure, who has already told his email ID. So, until we meet tomorrow, tomorrow's seminar will be again at 5 p.m. and the topic is competitive examinations, again, which will be really interesting and beneficial for uh, all the students who are passing out from engineering and other streams. So until we meet tomorrow, so take care everyone and bye bye. So Rohit, with your permission, can we just wrap it
Thank you.
up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.